What's happening, people? Welcome back to Out of the Loop. Thank you for joining me once again. So, I continued on with the track that I made last night in the live stream. I will show the footage of that in my Patreon page, along with the mixdown and mastering process. What I'm going to do right now is show you the mixing and mastering process as in a before and after, and then explain some of the things that I've done. And then if you want to dive in more and see how I've done it along the way, there's a 40-minute video which I will be uploading to my Patreon, which you can access if you subscribe to the Patreon. So let's jump into Ableton and have a look what I've got. So I have this full track here. I laid out more of the track from last night. Sorry I didn't show it, but it was several hours of me doing a little bit more and tweaking it. But it's very similar to what you might have heard last night if you watched that video or the last video that I uploaded. I just added some like a second section where the piano kind of changes into an arpeggiator and the bass follows that, and it just kind of makes it into a different type of track slightly, but still keeping the same theme. So I'm going to show you a before and after of the mix. So what I've done is I've hotkeyed, so you press Control K, and then I've assigned this group processing here of the drums, the master, so the master will be turned off, and the instrument processing is all turned off right now. And then I'll turn it on and you'll see the before and after. Just trying to think where to start in the track to show you. Let's go from this bridge. Okay, cool. So that's with everything off, no processing. So now I press 1, and we'll just go from like here. I won't do that whole thing again. It's going to be a lot louder, so prepare yourself. So with it off, on, off, cool. Getting carried away. Cool. So obviously it's louder because I've put the master on, which has a limiter on, which increases the volume and some other stuff there. So let's start from the drums, or I'll talk about my whole mixing process first. Sorry, I have something wrong with my chest. I mix along the way, for sure. Like all the drums, they all have individual processing. Things like loops and stuff, I don't tend to do too much processing on them unless I need to. Like, I don't need to compress them and stuff because they're usually well treated, especially production music live. They have really great samples that aren't, nothing sounding off. So I usually just EQ like any low end, as you can see here, dip things that are a little bit too sharp and stuff like that. And then my own stuff that I add in, like, this is still nice samples that I'm using, but maybe I put the volumes a little bit wrong or whatever. So I do a little bit of compression on there. And so on and so forth. There's nothing really too fancy. Just I usually would use like a compressor or an EQ. And that's all I do really on the individual channels, unless I want to add a little bit of reverb and stuff, which I'll do on a return. And a return is like a bus if you're using Logic or whatever. And that's so I have this dry signal coming through. So whether it's like a hi-hat, this dry signal is coming through, and then I'm getting the a return channel, like an external channel, which has the reverb on and the hat at the same time. So I still get a nice clear signal. I don't always do that, but only when I still want to keep the integrity of the original sound. Sorry. So, like this is an example. This is a clap effect, so it's just I wanted this kind of like it's still quite sharp, but I wanted it to be big and reverby and not too in your face. So I've put the effects on the channel. So I have an echo and then a big reverb, and then I have this. Yeah, it gives it like a nice effect, and that's because it's not a key component of the groove. This little group here is just some shakers, and this is just because these are running continuously, so I want them to sidechain to the kick, so they kind of like groove with the kick, and then yeah, that's kind of it for that. But so the main group processing, this is what I do on pretty much all my tracks, is I'll boost in areas. And I don't have a particular order for this. Well, you should do. I guess I would clean up usually first with this. I've done it after this time because I realised after I boosted everything and I enhanced everything, there was just some quite painful frequencies coming through. You could definitely do it the other way around. It works either way. So yeah, I'm boosting with this EQ here, which is a side Q. And this is just, I just find this a really nice EQ to use to like boost in areas that I want. You could use an EQ8 or like a EQ, what's the other one? 3? Or the other one, channel EQ. Actually, that might be a little bit better. And so it's just like boosting in an area, take away in another area. Doing things like this. You can use that. It's similar to using like this PsyQ. This Pugue Child. So the reason I use these fancy VSTs is because they do add character. They add more than just what they are. So like this is a compressor, but it really adds a lot of richness to the sound and brightens the sound up. So that's why I use it. So I'm using this this compressor to kind of dip things that are a little bit loud, like the clap or whatever. As it punches through too much, I'm dipping it, and then bring up the volume of everything else. In fact, in this case, I don't even think I brought up the volume. Oh yeah, a tiny bit. It was just more controlling the peaks of whatever was coming through. And then this here is more for like the volume control. So this is what, like, where I want the drums to land at. With this limiter, this is a limiter. It has all the same normal stuff that you'd have on another limiter, but it's a little bit strange. Like, it doesn't. If I set my output to 12, the drums don't land at 12. They are like usually louder, so I kind of like adjust for that. But I like this compressor, this limiter. It doesn't feel too harsh, It doesn't like crush my sounds. It just kind of like really brings out some nice harmonics. So I'm using this as kind of a form of slight saturation and as volume control. And by saturation, I mean like when you limit things or distort things, you add harmonics. So when you saturate things, it just brings out extra character in sounds, which could be bad or good, but in this case it was good. Sorry. So, and then the last thing was just this EQ here. This is just getting rid of any painful things. So if I just solo things like that, but it's more for here. It's gonna get a bit painful. Ooh. And then this I don't really want. That one's really bad. Let me bring that down. But they are part of like the character of a sound, so you don't really want to kill that too much. Just as long as when it's really loud, it's not painful. So yeah. Moving on. So that's the drum processing. The bass is not too much on it. It's just this is just if you watched the video last night, it's just literally the initial preset in Diva. Change this envelope to change this to an envelope rather than lag. Took off the reverb, made it mono. That's it. It's just literally a sawtooth. And that's it. Nothing crazy. And then I'm just controlling it with an auto filter here, like making it more open and closed in certain areas. I definitely could just do that with like this, but I didn't. I'd do it at the same time, to be honest. There's a little bit of compression, so that's just like when it's punching through. I'm not letting it get through too much, not letting it get too loud. Just kind of like controlling the peaks. And you could do that with a glue compressor for sure. So let me actually just show you how it's the same. So this attack is at 5, which is this compressor's different, so it's kind of backwards. So 7 means fast, so that would essentially be like here, and the release is completely as quick as it can be. It's at 4:1, which is 4:1 here, and then the volume is like, well, I'm not sure like in comparison, but it's just doing like 2 dBs of compression. So if I take this off, it's doing that. So as it's dipping the volume a little bit, and then I would add. So something like that, maybe a little bit less. This is a little bit louder, to be fair. Let me bring that down a bit. Yeah, pretty similar. To be honest, I don't know why I use that plugin. I think because I bought it recently, so I was like, yeah, I want to use it. It does add its own character, but I'm just using it because I can. More so, I'll be honest. Okay, so let's move on. So we have, this is the processing on the instruments. So all the instruments are processed on their own as well, but the same kind of thing, just EQ mostly. Try not to compress things as much, like individually. When you compress something or limit something, you essentially kill the initial peak or the initial transient. Not kill, but with a compressor it's a little more gentle, so you kind of like just quietening down an initial transient. So if you have like a clap, that initial, you're capping it a little bit and then bring up the volume of the rest of that clap. So that's an example with a clap, but if it's like a piano, then you have like the initial attack of the piano that you're compressing, and then bringing up the like the rest of it, the sustain part, I guess. So yeah, I don't need to do that all the time. Like if the piano is all good, it's not like it doesn't need to be compressed all the time. A lot of the time I just use compressors to bring up the volume, so I use it kind of like a utility. Here I'm like really bringing out the tops, or trying to brighten the piano a lot, and then I've just done a bit of auto pan because I wanted it to kind of go around your head. But yeah, nothing to show really. This is just like this glide sound, this, and I just done there's nothing on here. Oh yeah, I kind of needed to do that, I forgot. Just chill it down a bit. Like there. Yeah, cool. So the main thing is like the overall processing, which is just very similar to the other one. Sidechain compression though. So just moving things out the way of the kick, so everything's kind of grooving together. Not too heavy, the ratio is not all the way and the threshold's not all the way down. And then, you know, this boosting EQ, just boosting in to bring out some clarity and things like that. A crazy bit of EQ. So I'm just trying to dip down where it's a little bit sharp, like there, and it's the overall. So just dip in those areas and then really trying to bring out these like top things. They sound really nice. I really like that. So I'm trying to bring that out. And then that's it. And then this ozone imager is just because it was, I don't think I actually use it. No. But I could maybe make it a little less wide. So yeah, this imager I just used to check for how wide the sound is or how mono it is. If it's too wide, then you're going to have phasing issues or it's not going to transmit very well in a club. So I just use this little imager to make sure that I don't have any problems there. Okay, cool. And that's it. So then on the mastering, similar kind of stuff. So a compressor here is just this is very similar processing to the drum group. So I'm just capping anything that's too loud. So like the kick in this case. So you see the kick is just getting knocked down a little bit. And then I'm bringing up the volume of everything else. So we have it a little bit more equal. If I took that off, the kick would just be a lot louder than everything else, probably a lot louder than it needs to be. And you kind of just do that to taste. So you're like, okay, am I losing the kick now, or is it good? Like, is it? So let's have a little listen with it off. So you can hear like the kick comes down a little bit, and then everything else comes up quite a lot. But as long as you still get that groove, that kick's still like there, then you're all good. This is just another compressor. This is more, I use this actually kind of to brighten the track up, because this compressor brightens things up, as I think I've said before. But I am also just capping anything else that comes through a little bit. Really slight. Also adding a tiny bit more volume, like not much. So with this on and off. So the thought process with mastering is I would generally want to just kind of add color and life and volume to the track. It should already be at a good point, which it was. Like the mix I did I was happy with. Everything was clear and stuff. There was no mud or any nasty frequencies. So then now I'm just kind of adding that last like 5%, 10%. That's what I would say a master is used for. It's not to like make your track better. I need to put that beforehand. So yeah, and then this Gullfoss is just an intelligent EQ. You've probably seen this in my other videos. And it will just dip in areas that are needed. So it's kind of like fixing things for me, like last little things. Not using it by much, like 22%, 19%. And it's just brightening up the track a little bit more. And then this limiter is just to get the volume to the right level. You see there's like no gain reduction. It's a very small amount. 1 dB I can take because it doesn't sound bad. And that's it. And then I basically do all of this while I have span on. So I'm making sure I've got this nice like valley here. This is the musical elements coming through. I don't mind them being quite loud and in place because they're not constantly playing. They evolve throughout the track. And then you have like a little dip, and then the hi-hats are quite loud as well, and that's what you want generally for like a club track. Cool. So if you found this helpful, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like and a comment, and if you want to watch the entire kind of like, well, not the entire mixing process, but a big chunk of it, then just head over to the Patreon, where I'll post the full, I think it's like 40-minute video of me actually applying this stuff, and this stuff and this stuff, and I think maybe I did some little tweaks to the track as well. So it's just like a little bit more of a backstage access to seeing how I finish a track. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. Just to let you know, I'm going to be adding 10 free Diva presets to Patreon every month. So it'll be 10 fresh new Diva presets for all people that are subscribed to Patreon, and that'll be any tier that you want to subscribe to, just as a little incentive to support the channel. Yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you very much. Catch you in the next video.